Here we have the Cobra Strato Viper, one of the coolest GI Joe figures that you could buy. And if you remember back in the day, some of the very best and coolest figures, particularly Cobra, came with the vehicles. And this guy came with the Cobra Night Raven, the giant spaceship that looks like an SR-71. How cool is he? And he's one of the few GI Joe figures from my original collection when I was a kid that actually survived. Probably because he was one of my favorites, and I must have kept him out of harm's way. He's a little banged up, but everything is in working order with this guy. I guess he must have hit his head on the windshield or something. He'll be okay. No problem. I no longer have the Night Raven. The only surviving piece of it is this. It came with a miniature shuttle, and you would take the guy and you could put him into it like face first, like that, and then he'd pilot it. You could shut the little door on top of him and fly him around, and you know, GI Joe would shoot him out of the air and he'd hop out, and then pull his gun out of his vest and start blasting Joes without mercy, because he was the Cobra Night Raven pilot, the Strato Viper. I don't remember what gun he came with or anything, but we'll just take some random GI Joe gun and put it into his hand, so you can see how that works. These guys were all pretty standard when it came to their weapons, and most of the GI Joe guns worked with Star Wars figures and vice versa, so they were all really cool, and they were pretty much the same size. Anyway, check out the detailing on this dude. He's really awesome. The only Cobra figure I think that I liked more than this guy was the Cobra Hydrofoil, the Moray pilot, which I lost on the bus one day. I remember. I'm still very upset about that. Fortunately, there's eBay, and you can get these guys pretty easily, especially if they're out of the packaging and you just want to buy them and sort of revisit your glory days playing with GI Joe, or get your kids into playing with some of the older GI Joe figures. If you're not worried about collecting for value, they're really cheap. You could put the Cobra pilots into GI Joe vehicles. I forget what this one's called, but you figure if he shot some of the Joes and hijacked their boat, he would drive it. If you played with these GI Joe figures a lot back in the day, you know their weak point. Ow! Yes, it's the rubber band holding them together. In fact, I'm surprised this one has survived as long as it has, but that was cool because you could twist their body all around and held them in position, and they were really pretty advanced for action figures. The Star Wars figures did not do that back in the day. Multiple articulation points, even though that shouldn't be physically possible to do that with someone's arm. I think his vest looks really cool. It's got the Cobra badge on there. His boots look neat. And they still make GI Joe figures now. They're a bit different. Here's Ninja Commando Snake Eyes, one of the new GI Joe figures, and you can see the difference. I'm going to take him out of the packaging for the review of Ninja Commando Snake Eyes, but before I do that, we have to prepare Cobra, and the Strato Viper is ready to fight the Joes once again and keep the world evil and free from justice. These guys all came with cards giving information about them and their training, and this guy was specially trained for high altitude flying and combat and stuff, and he was super cool. Definitely one of the coolest Cobras.